We have inflation that's killing everybody, and we're going to end that. We're going to bring back our jobs. We're going to bring back common sense to government. We're going to have strong borders, and we're going to have people come into our country, but they're going to come in legally.
All right, that was Mr. Trump on the Senate side this afternoon, but, well, we played anyway. Joining us now is superstar Texas Congressman Mr. Wesley Hunt. Wesley, thank you for coming on again. So you were in the House when Trump spoke to your House colleagues. All right, top 3 points. What'd you take away?
First of all, he was fantastic. The energy was spot on. It was a packed house, and we are now coalescing behind the guy that will be our nominee, the next president of this country. And his top issues were very simple. It's the border, it's inflation, and it's safety. And the one thing that he really hit on that I found very interesting is what Russia is doing right now in Cuba. And the fact that the world thinks that they could act and behave like any way they want. And after looking at how Joe Biden was performing today in Europe, you wonder why we are viewed the way we are viewed right now.
What did Biden do? I heard some rumors about this.
He doesn't know where he is. And it was actually very sad to see. And so for me to watch President Trump for an hour and a half stand up, no teleprompter, speaking to our entire delegation, and the juxtaposition of that versus how we saw Biden behave today was just the stark contrast that should let the entire world know that we have to have him back.
Was there questions? I mean, people popping up from the back and saying, I mean, give me a flavor for the questions. What inflation, I assume.
Yes.
Border, I assume.
Yes, safety, yes.
America's strength, I would hope. That worries me, that last one. America's strength has been picked away. This story that John Roberts was reporting before, you may be aware of it, how this Russian gunboat was circling Florida for a while on its way to Cuba. We can't tolerate that kind of thing.
Yes. You know, if you could imagine the contrast again between he and Joe Biden. Joe Biden has to have everything scripted. He has to know who he's going to ask the questions to, what the questions are. At the end of him speaking for an hour and a half, President Trump speaking for an hour and a half with no teleprompter, no nothing, just communicating with us in a very frank and honest way. He goes, does anybody have any questions? And you were allowed to stand up and fire away questions to the future president of this country. And basically, it was mostly about the border. What are we going to do about it and how we're going to fix it? This is an issue that has made every single state or border state. President Trump is certainly aware of that. And his response was this: we're going to have some mass deportations. We're going to have to send some people back. We're going to make some very tough decisions, and he's right to stand by that. The American public is sick of that, and that's the #1 issue, especially at home in Texas, where I'm from, sir, that people are the most concerned about is our border.
Well, I just saw a poll, Congressman. Polls don't necessarily tell all the story, but I saw a poll that showed, I believe, over 70% favored a strong deportation plan. That's the first poll I've seen. Now, my view is, at a minimum, the criminals have to be deported immediately. Now, I know when you come across, it's a criminal act. I get that. But I'm thinking more of the criminals who were shooting cops, who were shooting, murdering young ladies, running out in Georgia, for example. You know these stories, Lake and Raleigh. The Venezuelan gangs. We know who they are, but because of these left-wing sanctuary cities, they can't share or capture them and give them to the border police to send them home. That stuff seems to me would be 100% issue.
Absolutely. It's going to take a strong man to do it. It's going to take President Trump to do this. In the meeting, he referenced Dwight D. Eisenhower, former five-star general, West Point grad. I actually lived in his barracks for a while. One of my favorite presidents of all time, after President Trump, of course. And he referenced that he deported people because he had to make a very strong stance to preserve this nation. He referenced him because it took a 5-star general that won us World War II to get it done. It's going to take that kind of leadership to do it again. And what he referenced was this. He said the left is going to, cherry pick and pick a few people that are going to get deported, like, the poor mother and the family. But they're going to talk about the criminals that we're going to deport first. That's his top priority. Find the criminals and sending them back to where they came from.
That's good. He mentioned
very important.
I've spoken to him quite a bit about the Eisenhower thing. Just as a wee bit of history, and you are a West Point grad yourself. Let's insert that into it. But as a wee bit of history, and Ike is an underrated president, if such a thing is possible, and general. The so-called liberal Republican governor of California, Earl Warren, who Ike put on the Supreme Court as the Chief Justice, and conservatives railed against him for the next 30 years or far. But it was Earl Warren who convinced Ike to have to deport the Mexican immigrants, the criminals there, because his state couldn't afford to keep them.
That's correct.
And I've heard Trump say, and you perhaps maybe said it today, you keep throwing out 8, 10, 12, 15 million illegals into these cities, you're breaking the cities.
Yes.
And you will break the entitlement system because we can't afford all this stuff. I see it in New York City, where every now and then our mayor, Eric Adams, says, I want out of this, I want out of this. So that's an interesting financial, I mean, you can't afford it.
We cannot afford
sustainable, plus the criminal problem.
We can't afford it. And this is what we've been dealing with in Texas for the past few years. And we tried to do something about it. And what happens? Biden's DOJ sues Texas. And by doing the job of the federal government. But what happens is this: other states start realizing, we start shipping these immigrants to their states, they start feeling our pain, and then all of a sudden now it's a bigger conversation. We absolutely cannot afford it. We are $34 trillion in debt.
Yeah.
We are running a $2 trillion annual deficit. And then when you add 12 million people that we know of in this country, you're only adding fuel to the fire. He is exactly right. We cannot afford this as a country.
Thank you, Congressman. We appreciate the visit very much.
Always good to see you. Thank you very much, sir.